StarCraft Remastered.
Yeah, that's a game.
Amazing fan
Remember
service.
StarCraft?
Do you all remember StarCraft 1, a little game called Brood War?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Miller, you seem like the campaign type of guy
Oh,
when it comes to
absolutely.
StarCraft. More so
I
than
would always
multiplayer.
try to play the multiplayer, but I was never all that great at it.
Yeah, no one ever is.
Yeah, well, it's a high bar, right? I mean, like, you either need to devote your life to StarCraft multiplayer or, you're not good at it.
Here's the middle ground, Miller, that I really recommend.
Yeah.
Only play with good old friends
Yeah.
on a couple of beers.
No,
then StarCraft is amazing.
That's how I used to play a lot of multiplayer.
Okay.
Was just playing with friends. I don't know that they ever managed to really, despite some really fervent efforts in the more recent entries, I'm not sure they ever really got me in with great enthusiasm into the multiplayer ranked stuff.
Right.
I mean, I would always try it and enjoyed experimenting with it, but it never really hooked me.
It's an amazing effort, reviving this old game and giving it a fresh new coat of paint, which, like all remasters, you play it for a little bit and it's like, this looks like basically what it did before, didn't it? And then you can turn off the HD graphics and then want to vomit. Like, there's still charm in those, in the pixel sprites and whatnot, but jumping back into the HD version, it's amazing how quickly it becomes just like, well, this is how it always looked. Dan, what do you think about the remaster and this whole effort?
I was like, do I have the fork? Do I have this remastered version on? Is this? Are you sure? And then I did what you did and be like, turn it off. And I'm like, oh my god,
yeah,
this is what I thought was top notch.
That's kind of how I felt about Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary.
As a side note, I think that phenomenon is one of the most unusual things about gaming. The way that your memory fills in gaps and convinces you that a thing you played in 1996 or even 2006 was different than what it really was,
right?
And you can go back and just be like, oh man, this does not work as well as it used to. It doesn't look as good. It doesn't.
Well, this is what I want to talk to you, Dan, about. Outside of visuals, what is it like to go back to the gameplay of StarCraft 1? What stands out? That was like playing the game.
That was honestly just like going back, like riding a bike, man. Like,
it was shocking.
The fundamentals are still there. They've been dormant for so many years, but
although Dan,
I still knew how to put a carrier rush together. That's
Dan, we did a 1v1 and Dan pulled a real bullshit move of going carrier rush, the noble entry.
Okay, and of course, he was the paragon of integrity by trying a Dark Templar rush, which is, come on.
Well, please. That's a cool guy rush. I mean,
that's far more insidious.
Yeah, I tried going the completely stealth route. I'm like, he's not going to remember to make an observer. He's going to be totally effed. And so I made it like Dark Templar army, and then was like, oh no, he's completely on top of it. I think like your cannons took him out pretty quickly.
Cannons took care of it. I had cannons all over the map because I didn't make any. Like, you're right. I don't like to make observers unless I absolutely have to. So. I skipped the robotics facility completely, except I had to do it for transport, obviously, since you picked that map. Whatever.
There's one of the river crossing. For the record, Dan did beat me. There was a moment there where we were like clashing with zealots because we both play Protoss, apparently.
The beginning clash was like one zealot versus one zealot, and then three zealots versus three zealots.
Yeah,
the classic clashes, right? So, and
there's a real clash of clans.
Then he went Dark Templars, and I went carriers.
And then it turns out I forgot the old Brood War maxim of nothing beats carriers. Jesus Christ!
It's true, nothing beats carrier. I mean, you could have made Templars, right? They could have taken care of it with with the
exactly.
lightning.
Yeah, with the Psy, which I then did in another game that I played last night. But God, those were... And then the game ended with... I was just like, all right, this is all I can do. And I just made a field, just like lined this entire radius with cannons, and then brought all my probes into the middle. I was like, Dan, come get me.
We're talking 40-plus cannons here.
So pretty much just like a holding action, like you're not going to win.
No, I had given up so long ago. I just wanted to annoy him. And so then he would run in, all his interceptors from the carriers would die, then he'd pull back out, wait for them to come back, and then go back in.
Because carriers have a huge edge on cannons, but yes, it does take some time to chew through that field.
It really does, yeah. And I forgot about just using the Templars. That totally would have been the way to go. But it's amazing playing a fair amount of StarCraft II and then going back to this one and just the little things that stand out. There's so many ease of use touches that StarCraft II added. Just adding like waypoints directly to the crystals, or even just hotkey mapping. It's so bizarre to go back to like because StarCraft II, one of the most brilliant subtle things it did is it kind of went for an ergonomic approach to hotkeys, so you can do everything around WASD. And now going back to Brood War, it's like,
you're clicking on everything.
To build a pylon or a probe, I got to go B and then all the way over to P. Like my hands all over the place.
Did they change anything with like the old pathing stuff?
No.
It's the exact same game. It just looks better.
It is literally the exact same game, like including like the old menus for multiplayer. They added a couple tweaks, but I don't know if that was when they made StarCraft the original free, which was a couple months ago.
I think that's probably because when I got on there were also kinds of like custom maps and everything going on. Like,
it's still big game hunters up the
butt. Are you obligated to play with like the Brood War stuff on? Can you turn it off?
You can pick Brood War on or Brood War off.
That's cool.
Yeah,
and of course you got to play with Brood War on.
Yeah, like, I can't imagine the weird
that game just hit such a sweet spot with like the simplicity and complexity aspects. Like you look at some RTS now, like a modern RTS has like 50 million upgrades for each unit that you can take in 20 different directions. It's just like, this is a Dragoon. You can upgrade its damage or you can upgrade its armor.
Well, do you think there's an appeal for...
I mean, there's a little bit more, but yeah.
If someone was trying to get an RTSs now, would you ever recommend they get StarCraft Remastered versus StarCraft II?
StarCraft 2. I think StarCraft 2, StarCraft 2, like I was originally upset. Like the original StarCraft 2 reveal kind of stuff, I was upset it was too much alike.
Yeah.
I think a lot of other people were too. Some, anyway. But no, I think StarCraft 2 is probably the one to get into right now if you're like, I have never played an RTS, I want to play an RTS, just because of quality of life improvements and stuff like that over the years. But if, as more of a, research lesson into what was the shining pinnacle of all RTS at that time, StarCraft 1 is still
dominant for so long.
And there's a reason. And also,
people
like,
still play that. Brood War is still played.
And I want to downplay its complexity. Like, I really think it's a relatively simple game, especially if you just pick one race and just focus on that. It's really not bad.
It's a complex game, but not at the level where you have to be, where you can easily just say a Dragoon costs this much resource.
Yeah.
And there are 2 resources. Okay, I get that. I don't have to juggle 10 resources, but like how you play them and like how you micromanage your units. Like if I play this Dragoon wrong and I just walk him down and the enemy can put him up a cliff and down a cliff and up a cliff and down a cliff, and I'll never even fire a shot by abusing his pathing. There's stuff like that. Or like how to expo, right? Like we both had like 3 expos that game. We're playing in a ridiculous amount of resources. But like that's a great way, you can beat any new player just by making an expansion while they focus on their main base. And then they're like, I'm out of minerals. Again, that's a complex thing that isn't on the surface, but you have to like plan for as you get to know the game better.
Yeah.
So mechanically, you just have to know a Zealot hits things in melee, a Dragoon shoots things at range,
right?
And carriers eat everything.
And Zergs are freaks that you'll never understand because their ways are impenetrable.
Their ways are, you can just do the old Zerg rush, man. It's still there. If you don't know what you're doing, just make those Zerglings and send them out. You either win or lose the game in the first minutes.
Oh God, Mutalisks are just horrible to fight. I hate them.
Mutalisks Rush is my favorite Zerg opening. Actually.
Of course,
to go right behind the pick.
Dan pulled this move where he said, "I don't even remember what my main race was back in the day. I'm too cool."
I told you it was Zerg.
You said you didn't remember, and then you said maybe.
At first,
Zerg.
I didn't. I wasn't trying to pull one over on you.
I don't know about that.
I really didn't remember.
Then why'd you fight me with Protoss?
The
I
Protoss
felt like playing Protoss.
The Protoss back when the game first came out were so cool, though. You know what I mean?
Well, sure.
They're
the most mysterious storyline. Yeah, you gotta love them. Just
right.
for the single player stuff. They didn't redo the cutscenes, which can be a bummer, but that would have been expensive.
Yeah.
But the pixel art and the redrawn, environments for multiplayer and stuff, it's really well done. There's little things if you want to be nitpicky, like I think the Nexus for the Protoss, a little too glowy, a little too shimmery, little things like that. But outside of that, like you snap into it, and it's worth the $20 just to have a good-looking version of this classic game.
And the regular version is free, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you can play with people who have the remastered version.
Right.
Oh, really?
That's
cool. That is really cool.
It's fan service city, you guys.
It really is, and I think it's cool that they're, Blizzard has been great about that, supporting ancient products. Like I think Diablo 2 still got a patch like a couple months ago.
And they just set up a public test realm for Warcraft 3. Wink, wink. I wonder what's coming, everybody.
Yeah. Now, would I go back to play that? It's different than StarCraft. It's an interesting concept.
Would you?
Probably not. Like I played that pretty hardcore for the first couple years after it came out, with the Frozen Throne or whatever the expansion was and everything. But then I only played it for custom games, which I think is what a lot of people did. Like I just moved into playing Dota and the rest of those games.
Speaking of which, in StarCraft, I tried finding like Aeons of Strife, like the origins of the Dota genre. I couldn't find one rolling.
It'll be difficult to find one rolling because despite many people having and playing the game, finding that custom map up at any given time is tough. But I did find one open the other day, and you can still play that map.
That's historically really interesting to go back to. I want to go back and play it at some point.
We should actually do that.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can subscribe to the audio version and listen to new episodes airing every Thursday. We cover big games on the horizon, games that we've just reviewed. We have long-form developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So check it out every Thursday.